quiet spring morning in 1980, a mountain in Washington state exploded with the force of 1,000 Hiroshima bombs. But long before the blast, Mount St Helens was a peaceful playground and a subject for many legends. What secrets were lurking beneath this sleeping giant? Today we uncover the hidden story. For decades, families flocked to Spirit Lake. Lodges perched on its shores offered postcard views of a perfect cone. In the early 1980s, geologists filmed venting steam cracks forming around the top rim and the bottom of the volcano. But to visitors, the volcano still looked calm. Imagine being there unaware. Just weeks later, this idyllic scene will turn into pure hell. Beneath the snow, something was brewing. Instruments recorded swelling as the magma pushed upward. Some residents whispered that the government knew more than we knew. Was there a cover-up? Was it simply scientific caution? As pressure built, so did the rumors. Big rumors. A perfect setup for conspiracy. On the morning of May 18th, at an instant, time stood still. The bulging north flank of Mount St Helens slid away in a massive landslide. Then the volcano exploded sideways with unimaginable force. Shockwaves shattered forests, vaporized snow and ice, and darkened the sky. Those who were filming that day captured chaos unlike anything seen in the continental United States. Officially, geologists say it was a chain reaction. Earthquake triggers landslide, landslide outcorks the magma, and boom. But some locals tell different stories. They speak of strange lights above the mountain on the night before, maybe of helicopters with no markings hovering over the crater, and the days leading up to the blast. Others recall hearing a second, deeper boom minutes after the first. An explosive echo that never appeared in the official record. Could it have been some kind of experimental detonation gone wrong? A test of geothermal drilling? Or is it just the mountain playing tricks on our imagination? As you watch these scenes, decide for yourself. Was this purely nature's fury? Or a little something more? And now, for your viewing pleasure, Subliminal Bleed has retouched the footage using AI.
Earthquake is shaking. There's a whole... northwest side. W7WFP. Now we've got an eruption down here. Now we got a big slide coming off. The slide is coming off of the west slope. Now we got a whole great big eruption out of the crater. And we got another that opened up on the west side. The whole west side, northwest side is slides down.
We had a major eruption occurring at 8:32 approximately this morning on Mount St Helens. It does appear that the northwest flank of the mountain seems to be gone. They have indicated that there have been some mud flows that have come down the southeast flank of the mountain. Emergency procedures have been put into effect. At 10:15 this morning, Cowlitz County reported that a 12-foot wall of water was coming down the Tula River, and this was verified by the Washington State Patrol.
When the dust settled, the scale of devastation was almost incomprehensible. Entire forests lay flattened like toothpicks. Rivers were dammed by debris, creating toxic lakes. Scientists hurried into the blast zone, but not all their findings have seen the light of day. To this day, rumors persist of film reels being confiscated and never released, of bodies recovered in places far from official search areas. All unusual artifacts unearthed in the blast's aftermath had been whisked away by unmarked trucks. As the months turned into years, something extraordinary happened. Life returned. A tiny glacier began to grow in a crater, protected by new ridges of lava. The lava dome swelled and cracked, captured a mesmerizing time-lapse by USGS cameras. Against all odds, lupine and alder seeded the ashen soil.
Here's a Pacific silver fir doing very well after coming out from under the snowpack and under the tephra, and some others not doing so well. But after they survived the tephra fall and the hot blast, they also had to reach the surface. And some of them did, like this one that's fairly stiff, and some of them did to a limited extent, like this one that's still quite bent over. And some trees, such as this little silver fir here, could not. You can see he's fairly well stuck, no green foliage on his crown.
Yet even this rebirth has a cautious twist. Hikers have reported hearing deep metallic noises echoing from beneath the dome, as if vast caverns were opening and closing at will. Is it just rock breaking, or evidence of hollow chambers deep inside the mountain? In the following weeks, reality started to set in. Like the fate of beloved Harry R. Truman, a local American businessman, bootlegger, and prospector who succumbed to the mountain.
For 83-year-old Harry Truman, operator of St. Helens Lodge on Spirit Lake, the warnings fell on deaf ears. He wasn't moving anywhere.
That's my life. Spirit Lake and Mount St Helens is my life, folks. I've lived there 50 years. It's a part of me. That mountain and that lake is a part of Truman, and I'm a part of it.
Where was the Harry Truman Lodge down there?
Okay, Harry Truman's Lodge was right over at the tip of this ridge right over there, the one coming into the water. But of course, he was down about 300 feet from where it is now, because he was on the old lake line. And so he's been covered by about 120 feet of mud, and then the water on top of that.
And of course, volcanoes have always inspired myth. The indigenous Cowlitz and Yakama legends tell of the Luit, the keeper of fire, whose anger shook the earth. In those stories, she still dwells beneath the mountain. Some modern theorists draw uncanny parallels between these tales and unexplained sightings around Mount St Helens. Unidentified lights and metallic discs hovering over the ash plume mostly, and reports from nearby air traffic controllers of radar blips that moved against the wind during the eruption. There's always been a fringe hypothesis that suggests that the U.S. government had been conducting secret geothermal experiments in the mountain's magma chambers. Experiments that might have destabilized the system. Declassified documents also show that energy agencies had indeed studied harnessing volcanic heat in the 1970s using Mount St Helens as an experiment, even though it was dormant. But did those studies go further than we've been told? Another wild claim holds that the eruption exposed entrances to underground tunnels connecting the Crusades, an alleged network used by covert military operations or, depending on who you ask, by non-human intelligences. And I gotta tell you, it even gets stranger. Conspiracy forums buzz with accounts of unusual creatures spotted in the blast zone. Large, hairy figures trekking across ash flats, leaving footprints that vanished overnight. Were these simply bears disoriented by the eruption? Or could the fabled Bigfoot have been fleeing its own home? There's no evidence to prove any of this. But isn't that what makes it fun? My name's Max, and I invite you to ponder these theories as we look further into the impossible, the obscure, yet relevant and unusual things that happen in the cosmos, in the human mind, and right here on Earth. Be sure to subscribe to Subliminal Bleed and let it bleed through. My name's Max Calloway,